We are on. Hello, everyone. I'm Mia Voss with the Mia Connect. I can't even say my own name. I'm host of the Social Media Power Chat and 15 Minutes with Christine and Mia right here on Google Events and YouTube. And today I'm continuing my series with Debra Faris. She is an intuitive LinkedIn coach and a people connector, and she is on a mission with her new upcoming book called LinkedIn for College Students. And what she's doing is bringing to Google Events interviews with amazing, innovative, successful people and having them tell their stories and share it with you. So today, I'm so excited. My friend, Jack C. Crawford, who is how I met Debra in the first place, is here to join us. Jack is someone who I love on Google+. He is a very authentic connector, and of course on LinkedIn as well. So Debra, your turn. Let's talk about how much you love Jack and why you wanted him to come on the show with us today.
Got it. So as you know, I only picked 12 very, very, very special people to me out of the thousands and thousands of connections I have. Some of them I met straight on LinkedIn. This is a person that I respect, I honor, and I love and adore. We already did our giving, our charity session with Jim Palmer. And again, it's Jack C. Crawford. So he put us together. He put me together with Jim Palmer.
It's like a phrase. It's Jack C. Crawford, and that it's just Jack says everything.
It's like everything goes good on a Ritz, right? So yeah, exactly. But back to Jack. So why Jack means so much to me is that Jack really gets the human connection. So somebody laughed once and they said, nobody can have 80,000 connections on la 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 la. And I said, well, you don't know my friend Jack C. Crawford. He just has this magnet. It's like people find him. And again, that frequency, that vibration, he's just this beautiful spirit of a human being that he's bright, he's smart, and he wants to make a difference in the world. And not everybody, as we all know, knows Jim Palmer. But Jim, for me, it was important. I followed him for 5 years. And when I mentioned his name to Jack, he said, oh, yeah, well, Jim's a personal friend of mine. And I said, okay, I'm following you home. Don't tell your wife that you're now being stalked. And so, yeah, no, it's Jack. Everybody loves Jack, so. He's not just a business smarts, but he's human. He's got that human kindness. Oh, yeah.
And Jack, before we're gonna make you blush a little bit more too. Of course, when you do make a connection with Jack and get to do the hangouts or have that one-on-one, you definitely feel like you are the only person in the room, and you bring that game, the A game, to every single person you connect with. So try and live up to all of that, my friend Jack C. Crawford.
Oh, excuse me, I've got to check something on my phone here. All right, I'm good.
I'm too busy. I'm tweeting about you right now.
Hold on.
This is how he keeps connected with everybody. He multitasks, right? So not you. I'm usually multitasking when we talk. Jack, thanks for coming on with us today. We really appreciate it. Okay. All right, so I'm going to lead in with our first question. So what is that you feel like you bring on with your entrepreneur talent that you feel that college students can emulate and use for their success? So this is when we want you to toot your own horn, my friend.
Okay. Well, let me briefly do my best. It depends where you are in college. If you're in your four-year degree program and you're at the beginning, my recommendation is don't worry about LinkedIn. Just be yourself, have fun, make friends, and try to get past the courses that cut out the first year people, that don't make it. There always are. So study hard, focus, right?
Right.
But abandon Facebook at that time and start looking at LinkedIn, start looking at Google Plus and other networks where there's more interaction, more engagement with people. And you'll find as you approach your mid-college years, you're going to start thinking seriously about two things. One, what degree major you're going to finally graduate with, and then the second is, what do you want to do with your life when you graduate, and beyond just trying to figure out how to pay back your student loans.
See, now that's very good practical advice, because I think a lot of times there's just this big kind of like what to do, and I think that's really good advice of how to kind of take it in edible bites, right? Like start with this and then move to this. Debra, jump in on that.
So I agree with Jack 100%. I think the first year it should be very minimum, because you've got enough changes going on, and I think that we can only do so much at one time.
Right.
And when you're whether you're moved away from home or you're still in the same state or county, I think it's really important that you get your feet wet and you get comfortable. And I think once you're comfortable, it's very easy to get on LinkedIn. We talk about Felipe all the time, right? Felipe Ruiz. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he was a perfect example for LinkedIn because he knew his passion that he wanted to be in the film industry, and he had that beautiful picture with him with the camera. So, I mean, a picture speaks 1,000 words. And when you
Right.
looked at his profile, even though, whether he had a position or not, he'd already found some charities and volunteer. So I love the charities and volunteer to start in if they don't have
Mm-hmm.
a position, but as an intern. And I think my favorite right now is these baby boomers. So like as I'm a baby boomer, Jack's a baby boomer, start asking your friends. If you don't remember what or know what their parents do, ask them so that you get these little simple steps. So you could start with your first, dozen friends and then extend out to your dozen friends, parents, and you don't even know who might be the HR director or a CEO of
That's
a
right.
Fortune 100 company. So taking those baby steps and those groups will absolutely springboard them in a very comfortable, easy way. I think Jack's got some good tips about where he's going to talk about following companies and influencers. And I think that's going to show you another super simple way that college students can really start to expand their LinkedIn with very minimum amount of time. And that's really important.
Jack, let's talk about that real quick as far as how you think that college students, starting at probably more the senior age, how they can connect either with influencers or find the influencers or the groups or the people that they think they should that would help them either with their career or even to figure out what career that is.
Well, where I think one of the things you want to get an idea of is your interests. So I advise people to be dead honest about their interests and not put things in that they think are keywords for a job that they hope that they'll be qualified for and be hired for.
Hmm.
The other aspect that I can tell you a real life story is that I've been contacted by at least 12 people right now that are either still close to graduation or recently graduated, and who found me and asked me for advice. And I haven't been able to help each one. It takes time to sit with somebody for an hour on the phone and work through it, so scheduling's been difficult. But I try to help these young people because they are reaching out. And so my general rule for helping people is if they find me and ask, then I will respond and see if I can help them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how exactly they find me, but part of it is the way I create my profile in a way that I invite people to reach out to me if they want to. And it's very easy when somebody asks. So don't be afraid to ask anyone this. So Steve Jobs said this, part of his success was he wasn't afraid to ask anybody anything.
Right.
So if you ask for something, you might get it. If you don't ask, well, surprise, surprise, nothing will come to you along those lines. And that's just the way it is. God helps those who help themselves is kind of an interesting thing because you can miss opportunities because you don't take the time to reach out kindly, politely to someone else who really has no obligation to help you, and just ask them nicely. Hi, my name is Jack. I'm about to graduate from Saddleback College, and I admire your direction and what you've achieved in your life. Could you help me? So that I think is incredibly appealing to others who might be willing to share. All of us, want to be mentors in one way or another, and
Right.
infrequently are we approached. So the other part of it is, I liked what Debra said, is start slowly and use the network you know. But this is where the game can be changed dramatically in your favor. And how that can be done is you begin to look at LinkedIn as a curation of wonderful news and wonderful advice. Instead of searching for management, let's say, managerial skills advice, you could look at these followers that may post to you. Says, the 3 tips for new employees at a corporation, how to avoid this, this or that, and these are all over the place. And so there are roughly right now, I think, 500 key influencers. You find them under Pulse. So you go to Pulse on your LinkedIn, and you'll see influencers, and then they list them either alphabetically, you can choose, or list them by the most followers. I follow every single one. There's no limit, right?
Right.
Why not
Right.
follow everyone? And then what happens to your incoming stream is just fills up with news
Right.
and articles and advice. And then you begin to see things that you may like. And guess what happens when you click the like button? It's the same thing as posting. And this is back to Deborah's point about extremely efficient use of LinkedIn. It takes
Sure.
less than 5 seconds to skim an article and click the like button. And once you click the like button, it's also in your stream, which means it's bookmarked for later review. So I'll go through and I'll find things of interest, and I'll just click, 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 thinking of the audience at the same time, instead of trying to overload people with silly articles. But I find the ones that I think may be of interest to others, and when I click them, then I'll find time later to go back and read them in detail, and then maybe even add comments to the post. Another way, if you have the time, is to thoughtfully consider some value to add to that article you've reviewed and share it. So there's a share button. In the share button, you can add text. And then the last one, which takes much more work, is to create your own post. And always do it with a picture, and really carefully go over the words. Make sure you've said as well as best you can, and maybe read it to someone else to see if they get the message before you post it. And of course, spell check it.
So I always suggest too, we should craft it in Word, spell check it, and then when it's ready, put it on there, because then I've done that before where I hit send. I'm like, wow, wait. But I love that, Jack, because I know that when I do see articles, I'm like, oh, look at Jack, what a smarty pants, he likes this article. So it does show up in the stream, and it does show up for people as an influence of what type of things you're interested in.
So the next area is to follow all the publications. So also in Pulse, you can list the publications. There are like 25 or so. Follow all of them. And then the next one is to follow companies and organizations. When you do that, you see their posts as well.
Yes.
And each of those is a wealth of future job opportunity.
Look at Debra. She's dying to say something because she loves everything that you say about LinkedIn.
No, I was actually laughing about Jack's name, Jack C. Crawford, because Jack was going click, click, and that's the chapter that he's in, is click, click, connect. And so I was thinking we should just change his name to Jack Connect Crawford.
Or Jack Click, Click Crawford. What did you see? What is it's on here? What does it say? Connector of people and things. I love that.
Yeah. So with that being said, I'm going to expand a couple things. One being the reason why I chose Jack for this chapter is my story, and this is on Deepak Chopra and the group for him, his creativity group. If you go on my profile, you can't miss it. But when I joined that group, I went and I looked at who the founder was, and there it was, Deepak Chopra. So I joined it, and then after I was accepted, I actually sent out Deepak Chopra the invite to him. And it said that, I was one of his stalker followers for 30 years. I've read all his books. But again, we're all one and all connected in the universe. So I picked Jack. I picked Jack for this chapter because that's how I feel about Jack. Jack's one of those natural people that likes to connect with people. And again, where he said, he can't leverage himself, and there's only so many hours in the day, and we all have families, etc. And so he's teaching us these tips. But, that's why I'm doing this LinkedIn book for college students, because I want them to, really get, it's about the relationships, not just connecting, but, finding that communication level. So even if Jack was super, super busy and he had, 30 inboxes of people that needed help, he could very easily create a template, take something from my book or my membership or whatever, and say, hey, these are tips that, one of my friends who's also a LinkedIn connection, has, recommended, and he pops that out. Now, all of a sudden, they now have a new person to connect with and some information. So I also want to address how Jack spoke about 500 of the influencers. Remember me, the last conversation that we just had, that when people are engaging, I only want you to do how many? One at a time, right?
Right.
The reason being is because you might want to go back and see Jim again and say something or look at his profile. And, we don't like to look at people's profiles too much because they might think we're stalking. But if you go and you click one of those engagements that they're a leadership or nonprofit, they see that as a positive, right? And so we always want to give people that positive feeling no matter what we're doing, right? And so what I love about what Jack just shared, it takes like literally, again, 1 minute. So you can go look at influencers and pick one. And the reason being is that one person now goes out to your tribe, to your pool of people. And so don't shoot your wad again, right? Because now, every day, if you just wanted to spend 5 or 10 minutes late in the evening, right when you just got through studying. So again, we were talking about Jim Palmer, one of the most incredible entrepreneurs I know, right? Strategically. So he has to plan every minute of his schedule, just like Jack does. again, we all have 24 hours, and I hope everybody, college students included, you get your sleep. I know we all have Friday parties and spring breaks, but it's really important, right, Jack, to have some balance. So as an entrepreneur and a very successful businessman, Jack, why don't you give some tips on that back to college students? Because I think having balance and getting that schedule is what made you and Jim so successful.
And I will say, as a grown-up, I want to hear what he has to say, too. I bet it's going to be good advice.
Okay. Well, we're all human, and we are going to have things that we want to do that probably not good for us anyway. So part of growing up is finding a way to build good habits versus bad habits, and I have most of my bad habits are secret ones, so everybody thinks I only have good habits.
That's like me with pictures on Facebook or Google Plus. They say, "Oh, your pictures are so great." I said, "That's because I delete the crappy ones." So there's a good piece of advice for you. But with your timing.
So we've all been told that you should clear out your Facebook before you submit your job applications. The dilemma is that whatever you posted in the past is still there. So organizations like, I can tell you, almost every company in America of any size employs companies that will go and scour your social footprint, and they'll provide a report. Right. And that report is a very sophisticated report. It's better than anything you can produce about yourself, or even if you Googled yourself. They have tremendously powerful tools that will look at all your connections and find places, events, and times, and pose those as risk factors for hiring you. It's a new game.
You're scaring me.
No, but that's good, though. That's good that Jack is throwing the truth out there.
Yeah,
thank you, Jack.
It really is. Yeah, and I mean, I think that you should behave that way anyway, but to now, quit with the selfies. We always joke about that, but this is really serious business.
I just read an article today about unselfies. I think it was on Google Plus. It said,
it was on Google Plus. I saw it too.
No, you saw it about the unselfish. Let's be unselfish, and I don't know, it's silly. But,
it is good.
So back to kind of the point about students. I left out one category of students that would maybe be given different advice, and those are the ones that have been in the workforce for some time. They're going to school either part-time or full-time, or they've gone back to school, and they already have some type of work history, a track record, a brand for their work. And college is a time for them to reinvent. Because that's what they're doing, right? They're going to get the education that they didn't have before. They're going to get their credential they feel will get them to the next level in their career and greater income and more freedom and opportunity, responsibility. And so I don't want to leave them out. And they, the ages for college students in that category can go all the way up to 80. We've seen the elderly women and graduating, from college at close to their entering the nursing home, maybe. I don't know. But it's really great to watch that. But I've known a lot of people that went to college in their 30s. And for them, it's they've already developed some good habits and disciplines. And their LinkedIn profile is even more important because during the time they're at school, they're enriching their profile as they go. And they're building their network even wider. So I would encourage them to listen very closely to Debra's advice, read her book, and apply it in a way that works for them. In fact, everybody should apply all this advice in a way that works for them. If you're not extroverted and you're not comfortable with it, that's okay, because companies hire people that are not extroverted. Just make sure you have no spelling errors, you fill out as much as you can, and that the information you put there is an honest representation of who you are.
I'm going to bring up, since Jack brought that up, and Jack knows things that the most sophisticated IT people probably don't know. I wish he could share some of that because he actually is just a genius and a half. But I want to talk about the left brain. Look, we made him blush again. I want to talk about I want to talk about that left brain, right brain again. So again, you could be go into the financial arena and be a CPA, right? And from a CPA, you go to be a controller, and from a controller, you go to be a CFO, a chief financial officer. And the reason why I bring this up again is because all companies have a CFO. So again, these are not just industries, but positions, right? And you can take somebody like, here's what I love about Jack. So Jack is natural left analytical brain, right? But he's so developed his right brain, the creative, but creative is where our communication is also, right? So you know, that's that balance we keep talking about with everybody that we've talked about. They all have said the same thing, achieving that balance. And then we've also had people like Jim talk about, Jim Palmer, that at a very young age, at 14, he had this huge mission to, you know, really make a difference and save this family that was going to lose their home because the father had passed away. See, that's Stephen Covey, right? I mean, he always said, seek first to understand, then to be understood. So as we're growing and maturing, it doesn't matter which we're left or right, we'll mature both because that's our natural desire to help other people. But whatever that opposite is for you, find people that are on that polarity different of you. So if Jeff's more analytical and I'm more creative, the two of us, that trilogy, we really get to go far in life, whatever we're doing. So I also want to bring up again how they have their study buddies. That's a beautiful opportunity with LinkedIn. They can have an accountability partner that says, okay, it's Friday. Let's just finish off our day with 20 minutes and let's go look at some groups and some companies and some jobs and, you know, poke a couple people and invite a couple people. And now all of a sudden they have somebody helping them on their mission, whatever that mission is. So it doesn't matter if one wants to work for Procter or Gamble and the other one wants to work for a hospital, right? You get that? They get to share each other's dreams and passion and help each other on this mission to what they want for a career. And that's just what Jack was saying too, and Jim and everybody else that we've spoken to. Make sure that this is coming from who you are and your love. Otherwise, what happens when you turn 30 and you got a job, a job, and it wasn't part of your passion and your mission of who you were and that culture. So if your culture, you love the financial, you know, Wall Street, and you love being in a suit and tie, then you're going to fit in a suit and tie environment. But if you're a creative individual and you know, you go into the suit and tie and you don't feel comfortable every day, you got to really do a little study, and that's where you can go on those websites of those companies and you can listen to people on LinkedIn in their own different groups, right? Like if you want to go into any kind of senior executive position, jump in project manager for a group on LinkedIn because you'll hear lots of conversations from lots of people in lots of Fortune 500 companies, right? So there's a lot of Jacks around that you could, oh, that sounds funny, that you could actually start building relationships and connect with. So now let's also address what Jonathan Sprinkle said to us about a mentor. So their mentor can be somebody who wrote a book or a Tony Robbins. Doesn't mean that you have to have that telephone conversation for them to be a mentor. So I really appreciate Jack mentioning he can't be there for everybody for every question, but he can certainly give them, you know, a list of here's some great books I like, here's some great mentors I like, here's a list of my top 20 influencers I like, right? Now he can do a 30-second send them off something and everybody's happy and groovy, right?
Which I would love to have that list from Jack because I'm always paying attention to anyone that Jack says he likes. Jack, I know you're a little short on time, so we're going to ask you just a few more questions and segue into that of who was your mentor? Mentors, I bet there was more than one, but bust out for us some of the things that shaped Jack C. Crawford.
Well, let's talk about LinkedIn just briefly. So I had a LinkedIn profile 2 years ago that was pretty lame, dead honest with you. And Debra met me, and Debra, basically pulled me aside and said, "Okay, Jack, this is not good enough. You need to fix it." I said, "Okay, what's next?" I said, "Well, let me tell you what to do." And so Debra actually charges for this for some people. She did it for me for free. I don't know why, but probably I've tried to make it up in many ways. But Debra gave me some tips that were just amazing, and they're all available from her, so I won't give away any of them. But contact Debra, and for a small,
a book price. A book
price?
I
was going to say honorarium. A book price, and if you buy more than one book, maybe she'll sign it for you. I don't know how to do electronic signature, for Kindle books. They should have something where you can sign the book electronically and it'd be special.
Right.
See, Debra.
Scan your hand, put it back on there.
I don't know. Here's an idea. So some college student should go out there and try that. Maybe that'd be a winner. But Debra was a big help in my life and helped me do this. The other person that I met, and we've met in person, he lives in Italy and met on LinkedIn, and he spent a lot of time helping me and also did a show very similar to yours, Mia, and you know him very well, before you. It's called 5 Minutes
Oh, I
or
know
the
what you're
star
going to
for
talk
5 minutes
about.
with Pio Del Sin. So Pio Del Sin is the person to follow on Google Plus, and he and I met when my wife and I went on vacation to his hometown, and we met his wife Francesca and his daughter Aurora, and we went out to dinner, and they're amazing people, and he's an amazingly spiritual and wonderful person. So
Yes.
I learned a lot from him, and then many other business mentors and personal mentors over the year. But the ones that I know in this network, and of course, you know, the lovely Mia Voss, who
I'll
has
be an
created
honorary.
this network of, well, I mean, you're one of the best hosts I've ever met, and that's why I recommended you to Deborah, because you can pull off a show like nobody's business. So.
That is how I got here today, my friend, is through you. Just so you know, my bucket list does include Prosecco with you and Pio and Deborah in Pio's hometown where Prosecco is made. So I just have to throw that out on my wish list too. That's interesting. He is a great guy. Very, very good mentors. I love that. Listen, any parting words that you have as advice for college students with regards to LinkedIn or just life in general?
Well, just say that, you know, I have hundreds of mentors, and I left a lot of them out, so I hope they're, you know, they understand that they're my secret mentor. So,
Right.
Other advice for college students is do what you love. To strive in every possible way to do what you love. If you take a job that's not what you love, you'll hate it, and you know, you won't get rewarded or compensated for that because they'll know you don't like it. So the best thing to do is to be transparent and be as honest as you can about who you are once you find out what that is, and then the right job will attract itself to you. Everybody's interested in what you're interested in. There's always, I mean, not everybody, but there are plenty of people out there interested in what you're interested in, and they will find you if you're able to brand yourself honestly, transparently, and broadly, as Deborah teaches how.
Yes, and I wish I knew us back at that age of the college students, don't you? I could hear all this.
I want to ask Jack if he wanted to share either a favorite book or a YouTube that he likes. You know, because I mean, that would be very helpful.
Yes.
Well, this is a business book that I'm reading right now, and it's someone that I admire greatly, and his name is Ted Shelton, and you can find him under Edward Ted Shelton on LinkedIn and on Google. He's a VP at Cognizant, and he wrote a book called Business Models for the Social Mobile Cloud. The future is in social, mobile, and cloud computing. Anybody out there? Go for it. That's where the future is. The old ways are gone. This is what you're experiencing now. This is social. This is mobile. I could do a hangout right here. And it's also the cloud.
Do you see me writing that down?
Business Models for the Mobile Social Mobile Cloud by Ted Shelton, Shelton. He has another book that he's writing at the moment called, I'm looking over there. It's called Snap the Whip. And that's about change. So I have other books, but I think...
I bet you're a book junkie. I love it. Deborah, any parting words for our dear, dear Jack C. Crawford?
No, Jack, we love you, and thank you for being you, and you know, caring enough about us to put us connected together, and again, with people like Jim Palmer who really want to make a difference. And I think that's every day. If you just say, you know, I'm going to meet someone special, and then ask them who their favorite mentor is, or what book they're reading, or so Jim Rohn said it very eloquently, you know, your 5 closest people will determine, you know, your wealth. So again, you know, be very careful who you pick and who you hang around. And when you have friends, ask them who, again, their baby boomer parents, you know, are they on LinkedIn and what do they do? Because they may be the very person that can get you into that next job. And questions are the answers, so don't forget to ask.
I love that. I love that. Well, on behalf of Deborah and myself, Jack, thank you so much. You are on big heart. I'm just going to do the big business heart and throw it out there. We heart you, so we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
We are on. Hello, everyone. I'm Mia Voss with the Mia Connect. I can't even say my own name. I'm host of the Social Media Power Chat and 15 Minutes with Christine and Mia right here on Google Events and YouTube. And today I'm continuing my series with Debra Faris. She is an intuitive LinkedIn coach and a people connector, and she is on a mission with her new upcoming book called LinkedIn for College Students. And what she's doing is bringing to Google Events interviews with amazing, innovative, successful people and having them tell their stories and share it with you. So today, I'm so excited. My friend Jack C. Crawford, who is how I met Debra in the first place, is here to join us. Jack is someone who I love on Google+. He is a very authentic connector, and of course on LinkedIn as well. So Debra, your turn. Let's talk about how much you love Jack and why you wanted him to come on the show with us today.
Got it. So as you know, I only picked 12 very, very, very special people to me out of the thousands and thousands of connections I have. Some of them I met straight on LinkedIn. This is a person that I respect, I honor, and I love and adore. We already did our giving, our charity session with Jim Palmer. And again, it's Jack C. Crawford. So he put us together. He put me together with Jim Palmer.
It's like a phrase. It's Jack C. Crawford, and that just says everything.
It's like everything goes good on a Ritz, right? So yeah, exactly. But back to Jack. So why Jack means so much to me is that Jack really gets the human connection. So somebody laughed once and they said, nobody can have 80,000 connections on la 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 la. And I said, well, you don't know my friend Jack C. Crawford. He just has this magnet. It's like people find him. And again, that frequency, that vibration, he's just this beautiful spirit of a human being.
Looking at LinkedIn, start looking at Google Plus and other networks where there's more interaction, more engagement with people. And you'll find as you approach your mid-college years, you're going to start thinking seriously about two things. One, what degree major you're going to finally graduate with. And then the second is, what do you want to do with your life when you graduate? And beyond just trying to figure out how to pay back your student loans.
See, now that's very good practical advice, because I think a lot of times there's just this big kind of like what to do, and I think that's really good advice of how to kind of take it in edible bites, right? Like start with this and then move to this. Debra, jump in on that.
So I agree with Jack 100%. I think the first year it should be very minimum, because you've got enough changes going on, and I think that we can only do so much at one time.
Right.
That he's bright, he's smart, and he wants to make a difference in the world. And not everybody, as we all know, knows Jim Palmer, but Jim, for me, it was important. I followed him for 5 years, and when I mentioned his name to Jack, he said, oh, yeah, well, Jim's a personal friend of mine. And I said, okay, I'm following you home. Don't tell your wife, but you're now being stalked. And so, yeah, no, it's Jack. Everybody loves Jack, so he's not just a business smarts, but he's human. He's got that human kindness. So, yeah.
And Jack, before we're gonna make you blush a little bit more too. Of course, when you do make a connection with Jack and get to do the hangouts or have that one-on-one, you definitely feel like you are the only person in the room, and you bring that game, the A game, to every single person you connect with. So try and live up to all of that, my friend Jack C. Crawford.
Oh, excuse me, I've got to check something on my phone here. All right, I'm good.
I'm too busy. I'm tweeting about you right now.
Hold on.
This is how he keeps connected with everybody. He multitasks, right? So not you. I'm usually multitasking when we talk. Jack, thanks for coming on with us today. We really appreciate it. Okay. All right, so I'm going to lead in with our first question. So what is that you feel like you bring on with your entrepreneur talent that you feel that college students can emulate and use for their success? So this is when we want you to toot your own horn, my friend.
Okay. Well, let me briefly do my best. It depends where you are in college. If you're in your four-year degree program and you're at the beginning, my recommendation is don't worry about LinkedIn. Just be yourself, have fun, make friends, and try to get past the courses that cut out the first year people, that don't make it. There always are. So study hard, focus, right?
Right.
But abandon Facebook at that time and start